Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud Course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Now for the track guide. The first sequence of corners are quite tricky, so what I'm doing here, there are 3 apexes. In the first one, I'm doing it flat. So going flat into the corner, I want to push the car all the way to the outside, or as much as I can push it to the outside. So at the end of this curve, I'm gonna apply a brake, and I'm barely touching the brake. I'm not gonna brake more than 30% because I want to do most of my braking with the downshift. So in 5th gear, for now in 5th gear, braking 30%, the car track outs a bit wider to the outside. Now I'm trying to take the next apex and get on this curve. I'm downshifting to 4th, so I'm adding the engine braking. I'm cutting a bit here, but this is not a corner that you want to cut a lot. The next one is. So this is the second apex. I put the throttle again. I want to give it a blimp of 100% throttle so that the car will track out wider, closer to this curve on the right side. You don't want to put it on the right side. It's gonna be tricky to turn from that part. You can make it. So there are a lot of lines that you can use into those 3 corners, and most of them will work, but a lot of them will be riskier. So if you're gonna put your tires here while turning into the next corner, if you want to carry the same speed, you will have to risk it more. So this is a more conservative approach, not going all the way to that part. And you can see now in the telemetry trace that we had throttle, brake. I had a slight moment of oversteer, as you saw in my inputs. And now when I'm putting the power down, I want to cut here as much as I can. So this is the corner that you need to cut. This one right here, you can cut it like that without getting a 1x. The 1x that you saw here was from the beginning of the lap, and you will see that it will quickly disappear like right now, meaning that it wasn't from this corner. So you can cut a lot there. Now putting the power down and heading into the next corner, what I want here is to open up. So I'm putting the halo just a bit to the left side of the white line. The off-track limit is having the right tires on the white line, but if you will go even more to the left, you will have a harder time going into this corner because you're braking downhill and there's a lot of weight on the front tires. So if you're gonna trail brake more because you're covering a longer distance, it's not gonna work that well. So I would suggest to not use all the available track here. Don't go all the way to the left. You can go to more to the left, but keep it a small margin, so it's gonna be a bit easier. Even though I'm quite close to get the white line with the right tires, as you can see, but I found that if you force it more, it's not gonna work as well as it should, just because of the elevation change. And here, very important to drop the trail brake soon. So right now I'm braking, and now I'm dropping it. Even though I have that small gap, it's a bit better than having more trail brake and the inside tire locking up. And I also decrease the brake bias from the fixed setup because you will lock up a lot on this track with the default brake bias. That's it if you want to push it a bit more on entry. Now let's look a bit on the initial part here under braking. So going into this corner here, there's a bit difficult to find the reference for braking. What I'm using is I'm looking at the corner. So I'm not looking left, I'm not looking right. When you go downhill like this, at this moment you can't see the corner. But as you go more and more forward, the corner will start to appear. So right now you can barely see the curve there. So whenever I see that small color of the curve on the inside, that's when I'm applying the brakes. And as I go more and more, the curve becomes more visible. So that's my reference for braking here. You don't want to take this much curve. It's better to take it a bit later and use a bit less curve. So not really ideal, but you don't want to track out to this part. This will cost you time all the way to the left side. Now going into this corner is quite similar. So what I'm using here as a reference for braking is the same thing. I'm looking at the curb on the inside, and there are some points in which it's not visible. Like right now, you can't see it. You can't see it, you can't see it, you can't see it. Now you start to see it. So whenever I start to see it more clearly, I'm applying the brakes. This is my reference for braking again. It helps me because I'm looking more into the corner I'm gonna take. It's not that precise, so lap to lap I'm doing small adjustments, but it's a lot better than looking on the right side, for example, for reference for braking while you're taking on the left. And unfortunately, we don't have so many references on this track, so it might be a bit difficult. Taking it in second gear, cut a lot this curb, you can cut it a lot. And second gear is gonna help you with the exit. Don't use too much the curb on the outside, you can get an off track. And again, this curb here, you can cut it, so you can get a small advantage. Now this one right here, you can't put more than that on the left side, else is gonna be an off track. So off track limit here is a bit weird. You can't have the right tires on the white line, so you have to play around with it. For me, this is I think this is almost the maximum that you can use into this corner. This is one of the corners in which you might take it almost flat out, but you will track out just a bit wider and it will be a bit difficult. So what I'm doing here, I'm turning after the exit road on the left side. I'm turning with 100% throttle, then I'm doing a lift, and then I'm putting it back on. So on the exit, I'm at this point. And my reference for braking is this, the moment in which I straighten up the steering wheel after I take the corner, that's when I'm applying the brakes. So it's mostly done on feel, but I'm looking to maximize the efficiency of the brakes. So for example, if I can see it right now, the steering wheel has an angle, now it's straight, now it's perfectly straight, and now I'm applying the brakes. Going into this corner, you have to take a late apex, so the beginning of the curve will give you a lot of trouble. Instead, you want to take it as late as you can, and you don't want to use this exit road at all. Like I'm touching the curb on the left side. If you're gonna touch more, you're gonna lose because you will cover a longer distance. Now this corner is a blind corner. This is a difficult corner. So the best reference here is this traffic light. There's a traffic light here. I don't know how visible it is, but this is what I'm using. So whenever I'm approaching this corner, like right now, I can't see the traffic light. I can't see it. But now it starts to appear here on the left side. And whenever it appears more and more, like right now, I see it clearly, I'm already turning. So this is what I'm looking for, because otherwise you will miss this corner every time. And I'm taking it flat, like that, cutting this curb a lot, keeping flat. And after I'm getting closer to this curb, I'm applying the brakes and I'm staying in third gear. Super important here to cut a lot this curb. You can cut even more. So I'm losing here like 1/2. You can cut a lot more and you will have a much better exit. And here this is just flat out. You have to cut on the left, cut on the right. And this was a big mistake in the lap. I braked a bit too late, and because of that I lost again to 10. So I think there's half a second in this lap for sure, half a second more of lap time, but you have to nail all the corners. So here you have to brake a bit earlier. Best reference for braking is gonna be this curb. I'm looking at it, but I want to brake a bit earlier than this. And while going into the braking zone, you want to use this curb like that. And you don't want to track here to the left, to the right side. You want to stay close to the left, but I couldn't do it because I braked way too late. So brake nice and early so you can be tight on the apex. Don't go to this part, you will lose 2/10. I think I lost 2/10 or even 3. And in short, that's a track guide of this week's with F4. If you like my style, if you want to learn more, if you want to develop your skills as a sim racer, I recently released my sim racing course. You can check it out in the video description, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.